The battle for Height 776, part of the larger Battle of Ul-Uzkurt, was an engagement in the Second Chechen War that took place during fighting for control of the Argun River Gorge in the highland Shatoysky district of central Chechnya, between the villages of Ul-Uzkurt and Selmanthausen. In late February 2000, the Russian military attempted to surround and destroy a large Chechen separatist force withdrawing from the Chechen capital Grozny to Shatoyan, Vidno in the southern mountains of Chechnya following the 1999-2000 siege and capture of Grozny and the rebel main forces breakout from the city. Earlier that month, on 29 February 2000, just hours after Russian Defense Minister Igor Sergeyev had assured his government that the Chechen War was over, an isolated Russian force composed mainly of a company of paratroopers of the 76th Airborne Division from the city of Pskov found itself cut off by a retreating Chechen column led by Ibn al-Khatib, commander of foreign fighters in Chechnya. After heavy close-quarters overnight fighting, Russian positions on the hill were overrun and most of the soldiers were killed. Uncertainty continues to surround many aspects of the engagement, including the number of combatants, casualties, how much artillery support and close air support was provided, and even how long the battle lasted. The goal of a regimental combat group task force of the Russian Airborne Troops Tactical Group in the area, based on the 104th Guards Airborne Regiment of the 76th Division and including also teams from the Spetsnaz, GRU, and the elite Vimpel Group of FSB, was to block in exit from a gorge, while other Russian forces attempted to encircle a large Chechen force departing the village of Ul-Uzkurt. The 6th Company, part of the regiment's 2nd Battalion, was part of this blocking force. The company's nominal commander was Major Sergei Molodov. However, it was actually led personally by Lieutenant Colonel Mark Yevtyukin, commander of the entire battalion. With him were a reconnaissance platoon and an artillery forward observer team led by Captain Viktor Romanov. At dawn of 29 February, in dense fog, the Russians were surprised by a large-scale Chechen breakthrough and were attacked from their rear by a reconnaissance group of about 20 rebel fighters, soon joined by many more who then had them surrounded. After suffering heavy losses from the initial ambush, the rest of the Russians retreated to a hilltop designated Height 776, where they hastily dug defensive positions. They received fire support, including from the regimental artillery battalion's 2S9 known as self-propelled 120mm mortars. However, a pair of Mi-24 attack helicopters reportedly turned back after being shot at en route. The only Russian reinforcement that made it to Height 776 were 14 men of the 4th Company's 3rd Platoon, personally led by the battalion's deputy commander, Major Alexander Dostovalov. Attempts by the 1st and 3rd Companies, as well as the rest of the 4th Company, to rescue their surrounded comrades or to stop the breakthrough were largely unsuccessful. Eventually, badly wounded Captain Romanov allegedly called for fire support on his own position before being overrun in the final Chechen attack. According to the Russians, 84 of their soldiers were killed in combat at Height 776, including all of the officers. Only 7 rank-and-file soldiers survived the battle, 4 of them injured. Controversies. The battle embarrassed Russian military officials, who attempted to conceal the casualties they had suffered. Russia's top military leaders initially insisted that only 31 of their men were killed in the battle and denied the unofficial rumors of 86 dead. Sergei Yastrzemsky, Russian President Vladimir Putin's spokesman on Chechnya, also claimed 31 fatalities were the total losses of that company for several days. After days of denials, Russian officials eventually admitted the losses, some of them apparently caused by friendly fire from their own artillery. Russian newspapers reported that Marshal Sergeyev had ordered the losses to be covered up. as the loss came just a week after 25 men from the 76th Airborne Division were killed in another battle in Chechnya. Even after the figure of at least 85 killed has been confirmed by Sergeyev, VDV Deputy Commander Nikolai Starskov said they were killed over 4 days, from the 29th of February to the 3rd of March. According to one source, unofficially the losses sustained by Russian paratroopers on the 1st of March are blamed by the Russian command on the decision of the Eastern Group's Commander Gen. Sergei Makarov and the VDV Tactical Group's Commander Alexander Lentsov. The final figure ultimately stood at 84. However, the total Russian strength and the losses among the other Russian units operating in the area of Ul-Uzkurt were never officially disclosed. In the first days after the battle, Gen. Troshev said 1,000 rebel fighters were involved. This figure was subsequently raised to 1,500–2,000 by Yazdemsky and eventually to 2,500 by Troshev. However, according to a statement by Colonel General Valery Manilov, first Deputy Chief of the Russian General Staff, there were only 2,500 to 3,500 separatist fighters left in all of Chechnya at this time. According to Yazdemsky, on the 6th of March, some 70 rebels had laid down their arms at what he called their pocket at Selmanthausen, while up to 1,000 might have succeeded in escaping. The very first Russian official statements mentioned the death of 100 Chechen fighters at the price of 31 Russian soldiers. According to the article in Krasnaya Zvezda, the official newspaper of the Russian Ministry of Defense, separatist casualties in the Argand Gorge area totaled approximately 400 dead, including 200 bodies allegedly found at height 776. However, the official federal estimate was later raised to about 500 enemy dead, according to the Russian government website. And in 2008, the state-controlled English-language TV station Russia Today spoke even of over 700 fighters killed there. On the 10th of March, Chechen President Aslan Maskhadov announced a general order to begin an all-out partisan war, and the separatist forces remaining in the still unoccupied territories scattered to launch a long guerrilla war. The Russian command thus lost one of their last chances to defeat a large number of the pro-independence fighters in a concentrated position. Although in March the federal forces managed to inflict devastating losses against a different column of some 1,000–1,500 fighters. While there were no civilians in the immediate proximity of the clashes at the uninhabited height 776, there were severe civilian casualties during the struggle for the broader Argand Gorge area, in particular from the artillery and air attacks on Ul-Uzkurt, Jarishmady and other villages, where thousands of locals and refugees from Grozny were trapped. Furthermore, there were many credible reports of direct atrocities against the population. For example, on the 6th of March, a group of civilians was detained by soldiers at the notorious Russian checkpoint on the road between Ul-Uzkurt and Duba-Urt. 12 men from the group disappeared, and the bodies of 3 of them were unearthed at the nearby village of Tangyichu 2 months later. In an infamous incident later in March, a local girl, Elza Kungayeva, was abducted from her home in Tangyichu, then raped and strangled to death by Russian ground forces Colonel Yuri Budanov. Aftermath. Later, it was seen as a glorious last stand by the paratroopers, confirming the VDV's reputation in the same way that the Battle of Cameron did for the French Foreign Legion, and the events have been quickly enshrined in heroic myth, even though some in the Russian army view it as a defeat that could have been avoided. It is officially seen in Russia as an example of bravery and sacrifice. In 2001, Putin flew to Chechnya to visit the former battlefield. In 2008, a day before Russia's Defender of the Fatherland Day, a street in Grozny was officially renamed as 84 Pskov Paratrooper Street, a move that sparked further controversy in Chechnya. Awards. On 12 March 2000, President Putin signed an ukaz conferring Russian state awards upon participants of the battle. 63 soldiers received the Order of Courage and 22 were awarded the country's highest medal and title of the Hero of the Russian Federation. In comparison, only 65 medals of the Hero of the Soviet Union medal were awarded for the entire duration of the 10-year Soviet intervention in Afghanistan. Hero of the Russian Federation recipients for this incident are Guard Lt. Colonel Mark Yevtyukin, Guard Major Sergei Molodov, Guard Major Alexander Dostovalov, Guard Captain Roman Sokolov, Guard Captain Viktor Romanov, Guard Lieutenant Alexei Vorobiev, Guard Lieutenant Andrei Sherstyanikov, Guard Lieutenant Andrei Panov, Guard Lieutenant Dmitry Petrov, Guard Lieutenant Alexander Kolgatin, Lieutenant Oleg Yermakov, Lieutenant Alexander Ryazantsev, Lieutenant Dmitry Kozhemyakin, Guard Sergeant Sergei Medvedev, Guard Sergeant Alexander Komayagin, Guard Sergeant Dmitry Grigoriev, Guard Sergeant Sergei Vasilyev, Guard Sergeant Vladislav Dukin, Guard Corporal Alexander Lebedev, Guard Corporal Alexander Gert, Guard Private Alexei Raskaza, Guard Sergeant Alexander Suponinsky. In popular culture, a series of Russian productions loosely based on these events were produced in the years after the battle, including a 2004 theatrical musical show, the 2004 television series Chest Imeu, the 2006 four-part television film Grozovi Vorota, and the 2006 movie Prorov.